After a massive game against Arsenal, Newcastle United is still pushing for a successful transfer window. So from a player saying yes to Newcastle, to revealing the massive exciting development regarding Benjamin Sesko's potential move to Newcastle, to discussing the latest update on Newcastle's controversial target. As per, join us as we'll break down the things we learned from Arsenal 3 Newcastle United 2, as well as the latest Newcastle United transfer news.
Thank you!
Let's go!
So starting off with the Newcastle United pre-season analysis against Arsenal. So although Newcastle's recent outing was a tightly contested affair, there was an unfortunate setback. Despite having a 6.8 match rating, 1 clearance, 1 blocked shot, 1 tackle, 0 times dribbled past, 100% accurate passes, and 100% duels won. Sven Botman was forced off just 25 minutes after his introduction at half-time. The Dutchman appeared to be struggling with a groin issue, an especially worrying sign given his recovery from a serious ACL injury last season. In that context, Eddie Howe's decision to reintroduce Jamal Lascelles early into pre-season might prove to be an important move, with the captain likely needing to step up during the club's tour in South Korea and possibly into the early stages of the season. Adding to the defensive concerns, Fabian Schär appeared to be managing a niggle, potentially hamstring-related. Though he managed to complete the match, having a 6.8 match rating with 2 clearances, 1 interception, 0 times dribbled past, a 97% passing accuracy, 4 out 4 accurate long balls, and 1 duel won. The sight of both first-choice centre-backs under physical strain further underlines the pressing need for defensive reinforcements before the transfer window closes. On a more positive note, Newcastle's midfield and forward lines provided some encouraging signs. Sandro Tonali stood out in the first half, dictating play with sharp passing and intelligent movement, having a 7.2 match rating, 1 assist, a 73% passing accuracy, 2 key passes, 1 accurate cross and long ball, 2 big chances created, and 1 duel won. While Lewis Miley delivered a mature and composed performance after the break, having a 6.9 match rating, 1 assist, 35 touches, 90% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, 1 out of 1 successful dribble, and 2 duels won. Additionally, Harrison Ashby quietly impressed with a 7.3 match rating, completing the most successful dribbles in the match, 2 clearances, 4 tackles, 0 times dribbled past, an 88% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, and a massive 7 out of 7 duels won, a reminder of the young fullback's attacking capabilities. Despite the recent 3-2 loss, there were clear developments in the competition for the right-wing slot. New arrival. Anthony Elanga made an immediate impact on his debut, scoring and registering a solid 7.2 match rating, 1 goal, 1 out of 1 successful dribbles, and 3 out of 4 duels won. However, it was his replacement, Jacob Murphy, who stole the headlines in the second half. Within minutes of coming on, Murphy leveled the score with a fantastic left-footed strike from range, having a 7.1 match rating, 1 goal, 30 touches, 1 key pass, and 2 out of 4 accurate crosses. His form has been steadily building, and his strong pre-season performances are now creating a genuine selection dilemma for Howe on that right flank.
Enjoyed it tonight, but yeah, good game, so we'll move.
You're off to Korea next, you'll play a K-League All-Stars team, and then you'll play Tottenham Hotspur. You looking forward to the rest of the pre-season?
Yeah, they're going to be good challenges for us. Yeah, 2 really difficult fixtures, and yeah, they're going to put us in good stead ready for the start of the season.
And you know, Singapore's waited a long time to have Newcastle United back here. Do you have any messages for your fans?
Thank you for everyone that's come. We really appreciate your support. Keep supporting us this season because we'll need you. Up the Toon.
Thanks a lot, Jacob.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Against Arsenal, the attacking trio of Gordon, Elanga, and Osula caused real problems with their speed and high pressing. Osula in particular was relentless in his work rate, constantly unsettling defenders with his runs in behind. That said, his finishing lacked composure as he spurned a big opportunity, highlighting Newcastle's potential need for a clinical striker, especially amid growing speculation around Alexander Isak's future. Not all performances hit the mark though. Joe Willock again struggled to influence the game, looking short of match sharpness. Matt Targett was frequently overwhelmed defensively, especially when isolated one-on-one, and despite a 7.1 match rating, with 4 saves, with 2 inside the box, 1 punch, Nick Pope's distribution left much to be desired. His kicking regularly invited pressure and disrupted Newcastle's attempts to build from the back. And building on from that in some transfer developments, Newcastle United's hopes of signing James Trafford were dashed last week after Manchester City activated a buyback clause in the goalkeeper's contract, snatching him away from a proposed move to Tyneside. The Magpies had an offer of £27 million accepted by Burnley and had been confident of landing the 21-year-old, who had been excited by the prospect of joining the club since a move fell through last summer. But a last-minute intervention from Pep Guardiola and City's decision to match Newcastle's offer changed everything. Trafford ultimately opted for a return to the Etihad, dealing yet another blow to Newcastle's transfer window. Martin Dubravka, who had remained behind in England while the rest of the squad travelled to Asia, was initially part of the plan as a makeweight in the deal for Trafford. With that move now dead, the Slovakian has flown out to join his teammates in South Korea, resuming preparations for the new season with the rest of the squad. Early reports had suggested that it was Trafford or nobody when it came to Newcastle's goalkeeper search, with Eddie Howe said to be content with his current options if the Burnley shot-stopper could not be signed. However, that stance appears to have softened. The club have now reignited their interest in Aaron Ramsdale, a long-term target who, like Trafford, has been linked with Newcastle on multiple occasions. Sky Sports' Keith Downie has revealed that Ramsdale is in talks with Newcastle, with the club hoping to bring him in on a loan deal that includes an option to buy. The Athletic's David Ornstein backed up that claim, confirming that a loan-to-buy offer had been tabled. Ben Jacobs added that the goalkeeper has already turned down an approach from Sunderland. Fabrizio Romano has since reported that Ramsdale has given the green light to join Newcastle. An official bid has been sent to Southampton, who signed the 27-year-old from Arsenal for £25 million last summer. The offer includes a high loan fee, full salary coverage, and a buy option clause. Southampton are said to be open to the proposal, but are holding out for a slightly higher figure. Talks are progressing, and there is growing optimism that a deal will be agreed. Aaron Ramsdale has already said yes to Newcastle. An official bid has been sent to Southampton. High loan fee, salary covered, and buy option clause. Southampton are open to accepting but want higher fee. Deal expected to happen, Romano wrote. Ramsdale is seen as a strong contender to challenge Nick Pope for the number 1 spot at Newcastle. Howe knows the keeper well, having brought him to Bournemouth in 2017, and the pair worked together until their departure in 2020, following the club's relegation. Ramsdale went on to feature prominently for Arsenal, playing every minute of their 2022-23 Premier League campaign as they finished second behind Manchester City. His move to Southampton last summer marked the 3rd relegation of his career, yet individually, he made 30 Premier League appearances, kept 3 clean sheets, and recorded the 2nd highest number of saves, 125, in the division. The 5-cap England international is determined to reclaim a place at the top level as he targets Jordan Pickford's spot in Gareth Southgate's squad for the 2026 World Cup. A reunion with Eddie Howe and a return to Premier League football could provide the platform he needs. Newcastle's prolonged pursuit of Trafford now looks to have ended in disappointment, but with Ramsdale open to a move and talks accelerating, the club may still end the summer with a high-caliber addition between the sticks. One who brings experience, hunger, and a desire to compete at the highest level once again. However, it seems Newcastle United's recruitment team appear to be embracing a player-first strategy in the transfer market, a method that involves approaching the player and their representatives before entering formal talks with the selling club. It's a tactic that has paid dividends for the likes of Arsenal, who successfully used it in the signings of Victor Gyökeres and Noni Madueke, and also for Manchester United in landing deals for Matthias Cunha and Brian Mbeumo. The same strategy seems to be playing out with Yoane Wissa. After Newcastle reportedly made direct contact with the Brentford forward, it has led to a major fallout between the player and his current employers, further intensifying speculation around his exit. And now, that same approach is being applied to one of the most sought-after young strikers in Europe, Benjamin Sesko. According to Sky Germany's Philipp Hinze, Newcastle have initiated talks with Sesko's agents over a possible move this summer. However, conflicting reports continue to emerge regarding the status of those negotiations and just how close the Magpies are to reaching an agreement with the 22-year-old and his camp. Ben Jacobs has revealed that Newcastle have made it known to RB Leipzig that they are prepared to pay over £60 million for Sesko, but no official bid has been submitted yet, as the club waits to see whether the Slovenian striker agrees to the terms on offer. However, he also reports that Manchester United remain in the background, having previously pitched to Sesko a year ago, and are now ready to meet his personal terms, keeping them firmly in the race. Fabrizio Romano has recently added further detail, describing this as a key week for Sesko's future. He confirmed that Manchester United have approached the players' camp to understand what kind of deal would be required. Meanwhile, Newcastle have already presented their long-term project to Sesko and are standing by to launch a formal bid if they receive the green light from his side. Key week for Benjamin Sesko's future, as Manchester United also approached his camp to ask for deal conditions. Newcastle presented their project to Sesko last week, ready to bid if player accepts. Sesko expected to decide his future soon, said Romano. Despite all this movement behind the scenes, one major sticking point remains. Newcastle have yet to begin direct talks with RB Leipzig. The Bundesliga club are standing firm and will not consider anything less than a package worth around £70 million for their star forward. While Newcastle are fully committed to bringing Sesko in, it's vital that they avoid making the wrong move in the process, especially when it comes to Alexander Isak. The absolute worst outcome would be to sell Isak before any agreement for Sesko is even close. As it stands, Isak is not for sale, and the club have placed a £150 million valuation on the Swedish international to deter any suitors. Even if Sesko's arrival would eventually soften Newcastle's stance on Isak, it must not alter the price tag. It's also worth noting that Sesko, like Liam Delap earlier in the summer, is believed to only be interested in joining if he's guaranteed the starting number 9 role, something that complicates matters when Newcastle remain committed to Isak as their lead striker. Ultimately, the Magpies are walking a tightrope. The recruitment strategy has them ahead of the curve when it comes to player persuasion, but until firm negotiations with RB Leipzig begin and clarity is found regarding Sesko's expectations, this potential blockbuster deal remains delicately poised. Then, in a polarizing move according to iNews, Newcastle United have already taken early steps in exploring a potential deal for Chelsea forward Nicholas Jackson. According to Mark Douglas of The Eye, Chelsea are quoting interested clubs a staggering £80 million for the Senegalese striker, a figure reflective of their intent to offset recent heavy spending and keep their financial books balanced. Despite this steep valuation, Newcastle are understood to have made an initial approach and internally see the player as being worth closer to £65 million, a similar figure to what the club had earmarked for Hugo Ekitike before Liverpool entered the picture. Jackson, along with Ollie Watkins, has been identified as a striker who could step in should Alexander Isak be sold this summer. Meanwhile, RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko is being pursued as a marquee option, and Brentford's Yoane Wissa is viewed as a more direct replacement for Callum Wilson. That suggests the possibility of 2 forward additions being on the agenda. Jackson's record last season saw him register 10 goals and 5 assists across 30 Premier League appearances. Respectable numbers, though they haven't quite convinced all fans that he's ready to lead the line for a club pushing for European qualification. Questions remain over his decision-making in front of goal and whether he's ready to be the face of a new project. When directly compared with Benjamin Sesko, Jackson may appear to tick the box for Premier League experience, something Newcastle's recruitment team has actively sought in this window. There's also the added incentive of weakening Chelsea by taking away one of their key forward options in the race for a top 4 finish next season. But despite both players carrying similar price tags in the £70 million range, Sesko brings something Jackson does not: excitement, upside, and long-term potential. Sesko's profile has a more transformative feel to it, a rising talent with elite-level potential and a willingness to join the Newcastle project rather than being a cast-off from a domestic rival. While Jackson could offer short-term impact, Sesko is widely seen as the more strategic long-term investment. As for Ollie Watkins, any serious move appears increasingly unlikely. Aston Villa have already made it clear to Manchester United that their star forward is not for sale this summer, a stance reinforced by their refusal to even name a price, unlike in the case of Emiliano Martinez. That silence likely signals Villa's intent to keep hold of their key players as they prepare for Champions League football under Unai Emery. In that context, Jackson remains a viable alternative, albeit an expensive one, should other targets prove out of reach. But unless Chelsea lower their asking price or Newcastle's stance on Isak softens dramatically, it's a move that may struggle to materialize. And then finally, could you please help our second channel to reach 1,000 subscribers by clicking the top link in the pinned comment or the icon on screen now to subscribe?